I cannot get over how metal this tea steam looks. Okay, so anyway, we are here for a What's on My Phone language learner edition, specifically Spanish, because most of the stuff on my phone is related to Spanish. So I feel like I have a very good, pared down selection of things on my phone because I have no choice. My phone is like an iPhone 7 or something like that. So I do not have space for anything. So I have to be brutal with what actually makes it onto my phone. So our top row here is nothing really language related. Ignore my continuously appalling screen time. I don't even know why I have that on there anymore because I am absolutely not trying to decrease it. The second row, Insight Timer, is a meditation app or kind of a wellness meditation type thing. And I actually do use this for language learning, but I haven't been lately because I've been very out of the habit of meditating. So that is something that I definitely need to get back into. But this is actually, I feel like, a very underrated app for language learning because so under your configurations, you can change your languages and it lets you have 5 languages. So, yeah. And they have quite a lot. I mean, obviously there's not necessarily tons of content in all of these languages. Some of the app is paid, some of it is not. They have breath work things, they have guided meditations, they have podcasts, all kinds of different things. I would recommend it if you're at all interested. Pandora is the app that I listen to music in. I have a family member who has a family account, so this is kind of my Spotify. My account is a complete disaster. I really need to go through and clean it up, but I do have some playlists that I have started. I have some stations that they have curated that I like to listen to. It's not a very clean selection here, but music app is always an essential. Storygraph is where I track all of my reading, so this is kind of an alternative to Goodreads that is not owned by Amazon, and it does have really cool statistics that Amazon or that Goodreads doesn't necessarily have. So it will show you a whole bunch of graphics, which is really cool. So you can see here in 2023 so far, I have read 8 books in Spanish. I definitely recommend Storygraph if you do any reading, really. Then this is my heavy hitter row right here. Number 1 is Storytel. I love this app. This is paid. It is about $9 a month, I believe, for me. There are so many books on here, obviously mostly in Spanish, but they do have English, French. These are the languages that they have for this particular Storytel, for Storytel Mexico. Obviously, just because these are listed here, doesn't mean there's a lot of books in these languages. So yeah, I use this app every day, I would say. Hoopla is a library app. So my library does use Hoopla and Libby. I think some use one or the other, some sadly use neither. This is another audiobook app, and they don't have as many Spanish ones, but there are some. I have saved some Spanish ones, some French ones. If your library uses it, definitely check it out. It's a great app. And Libby is another major heavy hitter. I'm using Libby or Storytel probably every single day. So right now, listening to La Casa de los Espíritus while I read it physically, and I also have the English copy out in case I want to listen to it, but I might send that back since someone's waiting for it. But I have the ebook here, and that I have been occasionally checking things back and forth with. I do have labels. Tags. I have tags for different languages. This is totally dependent on your library, what catalog they have or don't have, but if your library uses it, it is great. Overcast is the app that I use for podcasts. I love it. I switched from the Apple Podcast app, which I also really liked. There was nothing wrong with it, but I switched because I liked how much you can customize the audio on these. So we have Mundo Camper. So this has a remastered audio option, which I actually think helps a lot because the audio quality of podcasts can vary really widely between podcasts. It has this option to shorten silences, which sometimes I turn off for Spanish podcasts. It lets you do a really wide variety of speeds, and it lets you set a normal one and a custom one, and that's my default one. But then when I'm listening to a podcast in Spanish, I will usually, override the default and make it one-time speed. I enjoy this app a lot. Obviously, any podcast app will do. The next relevant thing is Polylogger, and this is where I log all of my language learning, and I love this app so much. It makes tracking very, very easy for me. I don't really like tracking with anything that it's easier to use on the computer, like a spreadsheet, because I am not usually near my computer, only in the evenings. I really like it being on my phone so that I can just, anytime. Then this is just a shortcut. It's not an app, but you can put shortcuts to specific websites on your homepage. So this is a shortcut to the Monolingual Dictionary. I haven't fully started using this yet over a translation dictionary. I still use both. So moving off of the homepage, I do use Letterboxd and Serialized. Letterboxd is to keep track of movies that I have watched. Serialized is to keep track of TV shows that I have watched. These are probably the least essential ones that I have, but they don't take up very much space, and I just like being able to kind of browse, find new things, and then track what I'm watching because it can be really difficult for me to remember. So Spanish Dict is the dictionary that I use the most probably. This is the one that translates between Spanish and English. It does also have examples context, which I really like. I also use DeepL instead of Google Translate or the Apple Translate usually. On a very rare occasion, it will come up with something absolutely frankly bizarre, but most of the time it is significantly better than Google Translate. Discord is where I keep in touch with the Mini-Immersion folks and some other language learning discords. Good for motivation and finding resources. I do have Forest. I go in waves of using Forest and not. Sometimes I find it really helpful and motivational. Sometimes I just completely forget about it for, months at a time, but it is there. I also have a VPN. I don't use it very much on my phone. I would more so use it on my iPad or my computer, but sometimes audiobooks are only available in a different, country, and so I will occasionally use it for that. And that is everything that I have on my phone that I use as a language learner. If you have anything that you think should make the cut for kind of an intermediate Spanish learner, definitely let me know. I can also do one of these for my iPad if you would be interested. I do have a lot more on my iPad because I have a lot more flexibility with space, so I'm able to be like, oh, I use this occasionally, let me just go ahead and download it. But yes, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.